Problems are particularly acute in those portions of the text pertaining to events that predate the advent of Paul. Further, it would appear that Acts, like the Gospels, was compiled selectively and was extensively tampered with by later editors. Nevertheless, Acts, unlike the Gospels, aspires to be a form of chronicle over a continuous and extended period of time. Unlike the Gospels, it constitutes an attempt to preserve an historical record and, at least in certain passages, to have been written by someone with a first or second hand experience of the events it describes. Although there is bias, the bias is a highly personal one, and this, to some extent, enables the modern commentator to read between the lines. The narrative recounted in Acts begins shortly after the crucifixion, generally dated at AD 30, but possibly as late as AD 36, and ends somewhere between AD 64 and 67. Most scholars believe the narrative itself was composed or transcribed sometime between AD 70 and 95, roughly speaking. Then Acts is contemporary with some, if not all, of the Gospels. It may predate all four. It almost certainly predates the so-called Gospel of John, at least in the form that text has come down to us. The author of Acts is a well-educated Greek who identifies himself as Luke, whether he is the same as Luke, the beloved physician mentioned as Paul's close friend in Colossians 4:14, cannot be definitively established, though most New Testament scholars are prepared to accept that he is. Modern scholars also concur that he would seem quite clearly to be identical with the author of Luke's Gospel. Indeed, Acts is some theories regarded as the second half of Luke's Gospel. Both are addressed to an unknown recipient named Theophilus, because both were written in Greek. Many words and names have been translated into that language, and have probably in a number of instances altered in nuance, even in meaning, from their Hebrew or Aramaic originals. In any case, both Acts and Luke's Gospel were written specifically for a Greek audience, a very different audience from that addressed by the Qumran scrolls, although focusing primarily on Paul, who monopolizes the latter part of its narrative. Acts also tells the story of Paul's relations with the community in Jerusalem, composed of Jesus' immediately disciples under the leadership of James, the Lord's brother, the enclave or faction, who only later came to be called the first Christians and are now